Don't Worry Darling is a 2022 American psychological thriller film directed by Olivia Wilde from a screenplay by Katie Silberman, based on a spec script by brothers Carey Van Dyke and Shane Van Dyke. Starring Florence Pugh, Harry Styles, Olivia Wilde, Gemma Chan, KiKi Layne, Kroll, and Chris Pine, it follows a housewife in an idyllic company town who begins to suspect a sinister secret being kept from its residents by the man who runs it. Following the critical success of Wilde's feature directorial debut Booksmart, 2019, a multi-studio bidding war took place for her second film, with New Line Cinema eventually winning. Pugh joined the cast in April 2020, with Styles added that September, replacing Shia LaBeouf after production had already begun. Filming took place in Los Angeles from October 2020 to February 2021. The film was the subject of media attention and controversy, including conflicting reports regarding the circumstances of LaBeouf's departure and alleged conflicts between Wilde and Pugh. Don't Worry Darling premiered at the 79th Venice International Film Festival on September 5, 2022, and was theatrically released in the United States on September 23 by Warner Bros. Pictures. It received mixed reviews from critics and grossed $87.6 million. Plot. Alice and Jack Chambers live in Victory, California, an idyllic 1950s desert company town. Every day, the men leave for work at Victory headquarters in the surrounding desert, while their wives enjoy luxuries and leisure while the men are gone. Alice spends her days with other wives, including her best friend Bunny. Fellow resident Margaret has become estranged from the community. An unauthorized desert visit resulted in her son's apparent death, which caused her mental breakdown. Margaret insists Victory took him as punishment for breaking the rules. Victory's founder Frank hosts a party, where Alice sees Margaret's husband attempt to medicate her after an outburst. Alice and Jack then have sex in Frank's bedroom, as Frank secretly watches. From the trolley, Alice sees a plane crash in the desert, so she rushes to help. Stumbling onto headquarters, she touches one of its mirror-like windows, experiencing surreal hallucinations about another life, waking up at home that night. Alice continues to have increasingly strange experiences, and then receives a phone call from Margaret, who claims to have seen the same things. Soon after, she sees Margaret slit her own throat and fall from her roof. Men in red jumpsuits drag her away, preventing her from reaching Margaret's body. Jack dismisses Alice's claims, insisting Margaret is simply recovering from a household accident. When Alice asks him what is really happening at the Victory Project, he becomes angry and refuses to answer. The town physician, Dr. Collins, prescribes Alice medication, which she and Jack decline. She steals Margaret's medical file from his briefcase and finds it heavily redacted. Becoming increasingly paranoid during a company celebration promoting Jack, Alice breaks down in the bathroom. Confronted by Bunny, she attempts to explain her suspicions. Bunny reacts angrily when Alice tells her she went to headquarters, accusing her of jeopardizing their livelihood in Victory like Margaret. Alice and Jack invite neighbors to dinner, including Frank and his wife Shelley. Frank privately confirms her suspicions and dares her to challenge him. So, Alice attempts to expose him, but he makes her appear delusional to everyone, causing Jack grief. Afterwards, Alice tries to tell Jack what Frank said, but he rebukes her. Desperate, she begs him to leave Victory with her. He feigns agreement, then lets Frank's men take her away. Dr. Collins gives Alice electroshock therapy, during which she sees herself in the 21st century, as surgical resident Alice Warren and living with the unemployed Jack. After treatment, Alice resumes her life in Victory, but eventually deduces the visions are actually memories. Confronted by Alice, Jack confesses the truth. Victory is a simulated world created by Frank, where he and the other men lead their version of perfect lives. The women they have in the simulation are unaware that everything in Victory, including their children, is artificial. When the men leave for work each day, they actually log out of the simulation for real jobs to pay for their wives to stay there, Jack argues that Alice was miserable in the real world, while here they can finally be happy. However, Alice is livid that she is there. Jack begs Alice to stay, forcefully grabbing her, prompting her to smash a whiskey glass over his head, killing him in both the simulation and reality. Frank immediately hears of Jack's death. Bunny finds Alice and admits she has always known about the simulation, but chose to stay to be with her children, who died in real life. She warns Alice she will be killed if she does not get to headquarters, the simulation's exit portal. Alice silently confronts the neighborhood, and as small explosions begin, the husbands panic. Fleeing by car, Alice is chased by Dr. Collins and Frank's men. She maneuvers them into fatally crashing into each other. Meanwhile, Shelley fatally stabs Frank to take control of Victory. Arriving at headquarters, Alice has a final vision of Jack, then puts her hands on headquarters before Frank's men can reach her. Various romantic scenes mixed with memories and visions of herself in the real world flash, then the screen cuts to black as Alice gasps for air. Cast: Florence Pugh as Alice Warren Chambers, Harry Styles as Jack Chambers, Alice's husband, Olivia Wilde as Bunny, Alice's neighbor and best friend, Gemma Chan as Shelley, KiKi Layne as Margaret, Sydney Chandler as Violet, Nick Kroll as Dean, Chris Pine as Frank, Kate Berlant as Peg, Timothy Simons as Dr. Collins, Douglas Smith as Bill, Ariel Stahel as Ted, Dita Von Teese as herself. Production, Development and Writing: Olivia Wilde, left, the film's director and co-producer, who also plays Bunny, and Katie Silberman, the film's screenwriter. The film was announced in August 2019, after a bidding war among 18 studios to acquire the next Olivia Wilde-directed project. New Line Cinema won the auction. 4-5 The original spec script was written by brothers Carey and Shane Van Dyke. The screenplay appeared on the 2019 Blacklist. 6-5 Katie Silberman was brought on to do a rewrite, which became the film's screenplay. 5-7-8 According to Wilde, Frank is inspired by psychologist and author Jordan Peterson, whom she called a pseudo-intellectual hero to the incel community. 9-10-11 Peterson rejected the characterization 12-13 but expressed interest and said that perhaps he would watch the film. 14. Variety initially put the budget at about $20 million, while Forbes estimated the production budget was in the range of $20 to $30 million. 15-16 Variety and Deadline Hollywood later said the film cost $35 million to produce. 17-18. Casting. In April 2020, Florence Pugh, Shia LaBeouf and Chris Pine were added to the cast of the film 19 with Dakota Johnson joining the next month. 2021 Wilde was originally set to play Pugh's part and Pugh was to play Wilde's, but they traded roles when Wilde decided she wanted a younger couple at the center of the film. 15 In September 2020, Harry Styles joined the cast 22 replacing LaBeouf. In October 2020, Gemma Chan and KiKi Layne joined the cast, with Layne replacing Johnson, who dropped out due to a scheduling conflict with The Lost Daughter. 23 That month, Sydney Chandler, Nick Kroll, Douglas Smith, Kate Berlant, Asif Ali, Timothy Simons, and Ariel Stahel joined the cast. 24-25. Filming. The opening scene was filmed at the Kaufman House in Palm Springs. Principal photography began in Los Angeles on October 26, 2020. 26 It was temporarily halted for 2 weeks on November 4 after a crew member tested positive for COVID-19, which resulted in stars Pugh, Styles, and Pine being quarantined. 27 Filming wrapped on February 13, 2021. 28-29 The film's original score is by John Powell. 30 Arianne Phillips served as costume designer. 31. The opening sequence was filmed at the Kaufman House. It was the first film to be shot there. Wilde was inspired by its architecture, and hung a photograph of it on her wall while working on the script. She told Variety, to be there was huge. To direct the first shot there felt like this really auspicious beginning to this movie, which was this love letter not only to film, but to architecture, to design, to this era. 32. Other filming locations include the Cicada Club in downtown Los Angeles during the victory party sequence and the Volcano House, in Newberry Springs, which served as Victory headquarters and was once owned by TV host Huell Hauser. 33. Alleged on-set conflicts. Wilde and LeBeouf. In 2021, it was reported that Wilde had fired LeBeouf for poor behavior and clashing with the cast and crew. 34. LeBeouf denied these claims in August 2022, saying he quit the film despite Wilde's efforts to keep him on board. He provided Variety with leaked texts and a video recording from Wilde addressed to him, in which she says, "I feel like I'm not ready to give up on this yet, and I, too, am heartbroken and I want to figure this out. You know, I think this might be a bit of a wake-up call for Miss Flo, and I want to know if you're open to giving this a shot with me, with us." 35. Following LeBeouf's statements, Wilde denied his claims and again said that she fired him, telling Vanity Fair that she did so after Pugh said she was uncomfortable with LeBeouf's behavior. 36. When asked about this in an interview with The Hollywood Reporter, LeBeouf replied, "It is what it is." 37. Wilde and Pugh. Rumors alleged that Wilde and Pugh clashed on set, leading to tensions during both production and promotion for the film. 38-39. An anonymous source reported to Vulture that Pugh and Wilde had a screaming match on set, and the former Warner Brothers executive Toby Emmerich oversaw a long negotiation process between Wilde, Pugh, and the studio to figure out how much Pugh would continue to be involved in the film. 40. Warner Brothers co-chairs and CEOs Michael DeLuca and Pam Abdi denied any tension between themselves and Wilde, saying, "We are so proud of the work that Olivia Wilde has done making this incredibly beautiful and entertaining film and look forward to collaborating with her again." 41. On September 25, 2022, 40 members of the film's crew issued a statement disputing the allegations and dismissing rumors of unprofessional behavior on the set as completely untrue. 42. The allegations have also been dismissed by cinematographer Matthew Libatique, who called the set one of the most harmonious sets I've ever been on, and by Wilde herself, who called the rumors baseless. 36. Marketing. At the Cinemacon 2022 for the stage at Caesar's Palace, Wilde confirmed that the idea of the film was inspired by Inception, The Matrix, and The Truman Show. 43-44. The trailer, which was also shown at Cinemacon, was released online on May 2, 2022. 45. A teaser poster was released on June 16, and a second trailer was released on July 21. David Christopherson of MovieWeb called the poster unsettling, and based on the trailer, Valerie Ettenhofer of Slash Film said "Don't Worry Darling" looks like a full-blown horror movie, noting the mystery surrounding its plot and the Stepford Wives overtones. 46-47. The official release poster was released on August 11, 2022. An edited version of the second trailer was shown in theaters and was released online on September 21. 48. Release. Don't Worry Darling had its world premiere at the 79th Venice International Film Festival on September 5, 2022. 49. Claims of Styles spitting on Pine during the Venice premiere based on videos recorded from inside the theater, and thereby adding to the already rocky press tour mired by allegations of a falling out between Wilde and Pugh, were dismissed as a ridiculous story and a complete fabrication by Pine's representative. 50. The film also screened at the 48th Deauville American Film Festival and the 70th San Sebastian International Film Festival. 51. It was theatrically released on September 23, 2022. 52-53. The film was released for VOD on October 25, 2022 and on Ultra HD Blu-ray, Blu-ray DVD on November 29. 54. It began streaming to subscribers on HBO Max on November 7. 55. Over its first week of streaming, it was watched in 2.7 million households. 56. Reception. Box office. Don't Worry Darling grossed $45.3 million in the US and Canada, and $42.3 million in other territories, for a worldwide total of $87.6 million. 2-3. In the US and Canada, it was projected to gross $17 to $20 million from 4,113 theaters in its opening weekend, with some estimates as high as $25 million. 57-58 it made $9.4 million on its first day, including a combined $3.1 million from preview screenings on Monday and Thursday. 17 it went on to debut to $19.4 million, topping the box office. 66% of the audience was female, with nearly 70% aged 18 to 34. Several publications noted the film was front-loaded to Friday and previews, attributing it likely to younger women going to see Styles. 59-60 in its sophomore weekend the film fell 64.6% to $6.8 million, finishing second behind newcomer Smile. 61. Critical response. On the review aggregator website Rotten Tomatoes, the film has an approval rating of 38% based on 353 reviews, with an average rating of 5.4/10. The website's critics' consensus reads, "Despite an intriguing array of talent on either side of the camera, Don't Worry Darling is a mostly muddled rehash of overly familiar themes." 62. Metacritic gave the film a weighted average score of 48 out of 100 based on 62 critics, indicating mixed or average reviews. 63 audiences polled by CinemaScore gave the film an average grade of B on an A+ to F scale, while those at PostTrack gave the film a 67% overall positive score, with 53% saying they would definitely recommend it. 59. Critics praised Pugh's performance, the cinematography, and the visual style, but found the film unsatisfying overall. Rotten Tomatoes reported that Styles had a debatably entertaining turn and that reaction to the third act was divided. 64 Reviewing the film after its Venice premiere, Kate Erbland of IndieWire praised the scenography and cast performances, particularly Pugh's, but found fault with the screenplay, summarizing, "Pugh's outstanding performance and the extraordinary below-the-line craftsmanship are all impeccably rendered, but they can't overcome the film's rotten core concept." 65. In a mixed review for the AV Club, Tom Rees laughingly commended Pugh's performance and also praised Pine's performance and the film's visuals, but called Styles outmatched, criticized the direction, and found its handling of themes and ideas heavy-handed, writing, "Perhaps the chief deficit of Don't Worry Darling isn't even predictability, but a discernible lack of new ideas of its own." 66. The Guardian's Peter Bradshaw called it a movie marooned in a desert of unoriginality, criticizing the screenplay and direction. 67 Vulture.com's Bill Jebari called the film smooth, competent, mostly, well acted, and merely tedious, writing that the plot can get boring and repetitive after a little while. Complimenting the performances of Pugh, Wilde, and Pine, he called Styles the weak link, who is not without talent but who fails to give Jack the dimensionality or inner conflict the character clearly needs. 68. Phil de Semlin of Time Out wrote, "Pugh saves this stylish but inert horror thriller from disaster." Richard Lawson of Vanity Fair echoed this, calling Pugh a commanding and centered actor who makes the most of the hash she's served. 69-70. Anthony Lane of The New Yorker called Pine the best thing in the film and Styles utterly and helplessly adrift while reading lines of dialogue. 71 Jeffrey McNabb of The Independent wrote, "Styles gives a surprisingly dull and low-wattage performance as Jack," adding that the film is beautifully shot by cinematographer Matthew Libatique and complementing the visuals. 72 Steph Green wrote for BBC that the film is full of half-baked ideas and an empty shell while also noting the film's repetitive nature. She wrote that Pugh does her best with the material but that Styles doesn't feel up to the material here, with leaden line delivery and a lack of light and shade making his scenes opposite Pugh fall flat. 73. For Time magazine, Stephanie Zacharek wrote that the plot is cleverly worked out and complimented Pugh's performance, but disliked the film's ending and wrote that Styles is cute, but a dud. Everything he does on screen practically evaporates from one scene to the next. 74. Scott Mendelson of Forbes named Pugh's performance as good as you'd expect, complimented Pine as he relishes the chance to play a smarmy villain, and argued that Styles is as good as he needs to be and that some of the criticism of his performance has been more about the character than the actor. 75. Michael Schindler of The American Spectator, while noting the film does not suffer on account of cast performances, argued that based on Wilde's statements and reports of on-set developments, rather than being a mere swing and a miss, the film could be construed as an exercise in unintentional self-criticism. 76. Helen O'Hara of Empire complimented the cinematography and called Styles' performance solid while particularly praising Pugh, calling her performance flawless, adding, "This is her film, and everyone else is just there for support." 77. Pete Hammond of Deadline wrote that the film is quite entertaining and kind of fun, adding that Styles shows he is the real deal as an actor and has great promise while also complimenting the performances of Pugh and Pine. 78. Owen Gleiberman of Variety complimented the production design and wrote that Pugh holds down the center of the movie and that Jack is played by Styles with a wholesome cunning that marks him as a natural screen actor and that with his popping eyes, floppy shock of hair, and saturnine suaveness, he recalls the young Frank Sinatra as an actor. 79. Accolades. Don't Worry Darling received a nomination for Best Thriller Film at the 51st Saturn Awards. 80. John Powell's musical score won the Ivor Novello Award for Best Original Film Score in May 2023. Florence Pugh /Pugh, born January 3, 1996, is an English actress. Her accolades include a British Independent Film Award, in addition to nominations for an Academy Award and 3 BAFTA Awards. After making her acting debut in the drama film The Falling, 2014, Pugh gained praise for starring in the independent drama Lady Macbeth, 2016, and the miniseries The Little Drummer Girl, 2018. Her international breakthrough came in 2019 with her portrayals of professional wrestler Paige in the sports film Fighting with My Family, a despondent American woman in the horror film Midsommar, and Amy March in the period drama Little Women. For the last of these, she was nominated for the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress. Pugh has played Yelena Belova in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, starring in the films Black Widow, 2021, and Thunderbolts*, 2025, as well as the Disney Plus miniseries Hawkeye, 2021. In her highest-grossing releases, she voiced Goldilocks in Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, 2022, and portrayed Jean Tadlock in Oppenheimer, 2023, and Princess Irulan in Dune, Part 2, 2024. She also continued to gain praise for her performances in dramas such as We Live in Time, 2024. Early life. Florence Pugh was born on January 3, 1996 in Oxford to dancer Deborah and restaurateur Clinton Pugh. 4-5. She has 3 siblings, actor and musician Toby Sebastian, actress Arabella Gibbons, and Rafaela Raffi Pugh. 6. She suffered from tracheomalacia, a windpipe condition causing breathing problems, as a child, which led to frequent hospitalizations. The family relocated to Manilva in Spain when Pugh was 3 years old, hoping the warmer weather would improve her health. They lived there until she was 6, when they moved back to Oxford. 6-7. She was privately educated at Wickwood School and St. Edward's School, Oxford, but disliked how the schools did not support her acting ambitions. 8. Career. Early roles, 2014 to 2018. Pugh at the 2014 BFI London Film Festival. While still studying in 6th form, Pugh made her professional acting debut in the 2014 drama, The Falling, playing a precocious teenager opposite Maisie Williams. 8-9. Tara Brady of the Irish Times deemed Pugh remarkable, while IndieWire's Oliver Littleton called her striking. 10-11 in the same year, Pugh was nominated for Best British Newcomer at the BFI London Film Festival as well as for Young British/Irish Performer of the Year by the London Film Critics Circle. 12-13 the next year, she was cast as a singer-songwriter in the dramedy pilot Studio City, co-starring Eric McCormack as the character's father. 14 the pilot was not picked up to series. 15 Pugh later characterized her experience on Studio City negatively due to pressures to change her appearance. 16. In 2016, Pugh starred in the independent drama Lady Macbeth, a film based on Nikolai Lskov's novella Lady Macbeth of the Mtsensk district, and appeared in the first series of the ITV detective series Marcella. 3 in the former, she played Catherine, an unhappily married bride who grows violent. Pugh attributed her attraction to the part to her partiality to characters with confusing or at least interesting motivations. 17 the role earned her acclaim. 17 she also credited the production with reviving her interest in cinema after being dispirited by Studio City. 16 reviewing the film for Variety, Guy Lodge commended her portrayal of the character's complex, under-the-skin transformation. 18 she won the BIFA for Best Performance by an Actress in a British Independent Film for the role. 19. In 2018, Pugh was nominated for the BAFTA Rising Star Award at the 71st British Academy Film Awards. 20 she then played Cordelia to Anthony Hopkins's titular King Lear in Richard Eyre's television film King Lear and appeared in the short film leading lady parts in support of the Time's Up initiative. 8/21 later that year, Pugh portrayed Elizabeth de Burgh in the Netflix historical film Outlaw King, co-starring Chris Pine as Robert the Bruce. Charles Bramesco of The Guardian found her to be excellent despite her thankless role. 22 she next starred in a 6-part miniseries adaptation of John Le Carre's spy novel The Little Drummer Girl, in which she played an actress who becomes embroiled in an espionage plot. 23 her performance was met with praise. 24 while divided on the series overall, Richard Lawson of Vanity Fair called Pugh terrific throughout and added that she smartly mixes earthiness with sophistication, wisdom with naivete. 25. Breakthrough and critical recognition, 2019, present. Pugh starred in 3 major films in 2019, during which she was recognized as having experienced an international breakthrough. 26-27 she first played professional wrestler Paige in Fighting With My Family, a comedy drama about Paige's career. The film premiered at the 2019 Sundance Film Festival to positive reviews. 28 Jeffrey McNabb of The Independent called Pugh completely convincing as the wrestler, adding that she showed the same defiance, scruffy glamour, and self-deprecating humor as the real life. Paige. 29 Pugh next headlined Ari Aster's horror film Midsommar, which chronicles an American couple, played by her and Jack Rayner, who travel to Sweden and encounter a cult. 30 critics complimented Pugh's portrayal of the desolate Danny Arter, with David Adelstein of Vulture calling it amazingly vivid. 31-32. Pugh at the 2019 San Diego Comic-Con. In her final film release of the year, Pugh starred in Little Women, a period drama film adaptation of Louisa May Alcott's novel of the same name directed by Greta Gerwig. She portrayed Amy March, a fickle artist, from age 12 into adulthood, and has said that the character is in a sweet spot of not knowing how to deal with her emotions. 33 The film received critical acclaim and grossed $209 million. 34-35 In his review, David Rooney of The Hollywood Reporter praised the disarming grace, humor, and a willful streak that grows almost imperceptibly into wisdom with which Pugh managed the part's tricky contradictions. 36 Pugh earned nominations for the BAFTA and Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress for her performance. 34-37. Pugh portrayed Yelena Belova, a spy, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe superhero film Black Widow. 38 She said the film was about girls who are stolen from around the world. 39 Released in 2021, it garnered positive reviews from critics, who highlighted Pugh's performance. 4041 Karen James of BBC Culture credited Pugh for making Beloved the most vibrant person in the film, more lived-in than most action movie characters. 42 She reprised the role in the Disney Plus series Hawkeye later in the year. 43 In 2022, Pugh starred in the thriller Don't Worry Darling, directed by Olivia Wilde, and the drama The Wonder, an adaptation of Emma Donoghue's namesake novel. 44-45 While filming the former, she allegedly clashed with Wilde, causing her to limit the amount of promotion she did for the film. 46-47 Don't Worry Darling premiered at the 79th Venice International Film Festival, where critics deemed Pugh's performance superior to the film. 48-49 In The Wonder, she played a nurse in 1862 who is sent to investigate an alleged supernatural miracle. Kevin Marr of The Times found Pugh's impossibly vivid and convincing performance to be the film's prime asset. 50 In her final release of the year, she voiced Goldilocks in the DreamWorks animated film Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, which earned over $480 million worldwide. 51-52 Zach Braff's drama film A Good Person, 2023, in which Pugh starred as a car crash survivor, marked her first producing venture. 53 Instead of opting for a wig, Pugh cut off her own hair for the part. 54 She also wrote and sang 2 songs, The Best Part and I Hate Myself, for the film's soundtrack. 55 In Christopher Nolan's biographical film Oppenheimer, starring Cillian Murphy in the title role, Pugh played Communist Party USA member Jean Tatlock. 56 Empire's Dan Jolin wrote that she elegantly dominates her few scenes. 57 With a worldwide gross of over $967 million, Oppenheimer is Pugh's highest grossing release. 52 Pugh next played Princess Irulan in Dune, Part 2, a sequel to the 2021 science fiction film. 58 Released in 2024, the film garnered positive reviews and grossed over $711 million worldwide. 59-60 Andrew Garfield and Pugh starred as a couple navigating cancer in John Crowley's romantic drama We Live in Time. 61 She shaved her head for her role in the film. 62 Glenn Whipp of the Los Angeles Times deemed her performance to be the production's prime asset. 63 In 2025, Pugh reprised the role of Yelena Belova in Thunderbolts' star. 64 She insisted on filming the scene where Belova jumps from the top of Merdeka 118 without using stunt doubles. Marvel Studios was initially reluctant to allow Pugh to perform the stunt due to insurance concerns, but after her persistent efforts, including discussions with Kevin Feige, she was permitted to perform the jump. 65 Pugh stated her reasoning being, "It's our duty as actors to protect and defend your characters and to put in the life. There's so much that's on the page, but it's really what you add to it in the last 20% that actually makes every character that any actor plays. There's so many isms that I was very welcomed into putting into the movie." 66 The film and Pugh's performance received positive reviews from critics. 67 Pugh will next play the lead role of Kathy Ames in a limited series adaptation of John Steinbeck's novel East of Eden. 68 Public image. Pugh in 2022. Pugh is known for her fashion sense, with publications such as Harper's Bazaar and British Vogue calling her fashion choices bold, daring, and unique. 69 70 71 72 At a Valentino show in 2022, she wore a sheer pink gown, which led to some backlash as it showed her nipples. Commenting on the reception, she defended her choice and her body on Instagram. 73 A year later, she wore another transparent gown to a Valentino event. 74 Journalists have often noted Pugh's outspokenness when using social media to address issues such as body shaming, cyberbullying, and beauty standards. 75 76 77 British Vogue's Raven Smith reported that her sincerity, interest in others, and humility distinguish her from more guarded actors. 78 Whereas Andrea Cutler of Harper's Bazaar said that her open off-screen persona has come to be expected due to establishing a career playing women who refuse to be silenced. 79 Annie Lord of the Independent credits Pugh with carving out a niche playing difficult characters you know you should hate, but, for whatever reason, end up rooting for. 80 Pugh has said that she gravitates towards roles that terrify or challenge her. 81 And observed that all of my movies have that element of women being forced into a corner, forced into an opinion, forced into a way of life. And then finally, something cracks. 82. In a 2022 readers' poll by Empire magazine, she was voted one of the 50 greatest actors of all time. 83 Terming her one of the very best of her generation, the magazine attributed her success to bringing a grounded empathy to her characters. 83 Pugh was included on the entertainment category of Forbes magazine's annual 30 Under 30 list, which recognizes the 30 most influential people in Europe under the age of 30, in 2019. 84 Time magazine placed her on the artists category of its 100 Next list, which highlights rising stars and emerging leaders in their fields, in 2021. 85 In 2023, the magazine featured her in their Next Generation Leaders list. 49. Personal life and other work. From 2019 to 2022, Pugh was in a relationship with American actor and filmmaker Zach Braff. 82 They met while working together on the short film In the Time It Takes to Get There. 86 Which Braff directed. 87 And lived together in Los Angeles. 88 She defended the 21-year age gap between them, following public scrutiny. 89 She dated photographer Charlie Gooch in 2023. 90. Pugh has polycystic ovary syndrome and endometriosis. 91. From 2013 to 2016, Pugh performed cover songs under the name Flossie Rose on YouTube. 92 She was featured on her brother's song Midnight, released on May 15, 2021. 93 In 2020, she participated in the series Acting for a Cause for a live reading of Kenneth Lonergan's play This Is Our Youth to help raise funds for the Entertainment Industry Foundation, a non-profit organization, during the COVID-19 pandemic. 94. Speaking at the Together for Palestine fundraising event in London in September 2025, she said, "Silence in the face of such suffering is not neutrality, it is complicity in a crime." She also urged attendees to call on governments to respond to the situation in Gaza. Additionally, Pugh has signed a petition urging the British government to end its interference in Gaza's affairs. Harry Edward Styles, born February 1, 1994, is an English singer, songwriter, and actor. His showmanship, artistry, and flamboyant fashion have had a significant impact on popular culture. Styles's musical career began in 2010 as part of One Direction, a boy band formed on the British music competition series The X Factor after each member of the band had been eliminated from the solo contest. They became one of the best-selling boy bands of all time before going on an indefinite hiatus in 2016. Styles released his eponymous debut solo album through Erskine and Columbia Records in 2017. It debuted at number 1 in the UK and the US and was one of the world's top 10 best-selling albums of the year, while its lead single, Sign of the Times, topped the UK singles chart. His second album, Fine Line, 2019, debuted atop the US Billboard 200 with the biggest ever first-week sales by an English male artist. Its fourth single, Watermelon Sugar, topped the US Billboard Hot 100. Styles's widely acclaimed third album, Harry's House, 2022, broke several records and received the Grammy Award for Album of the Year. Its lead single, As It Was, became the #1 song of 2022 globally, according to Billboard. Styles has received various accolades, including 6 Brit Awards, 3 Grammy Awards, 2 Ivor Novello Awards, 3 American Music Awards, and 4 MTV Video Music Awards. Fine Line and Harry's House were both included on Rolling Stone's list of the 500 greatest albums of all time. Styles's film roles include Dunkirk, 2017, Eternals, 2021, Don't Worry Darling, 2022, and My Policeman, 2022. Wearing a blue Gucci dress, he became the first man to appear solo on the cover of Vogue. Styles contributes to various charities and advocates for gender, racial, and LGBTQ equality. Early life. Harry Edward Styles was born on February 1, 1994 in Redditch, Worcestershire, England. C2, the son of pub owner 3 and Twist, née Selly, and finance worker Desmond de Styles. 456. When he was a child, he moved with his parents and older sister, Gemma, to the village of Holmes Chapel in Cheshire. For his parents divorced when he was 7 years old. His mother later married her business partner John Cox 7, although they divorced years later. Through her subsequent marriage in 2013 to Robin Twist, who died of cancer in 2017, Styles gained an older stepbrother Mike, and a stepsister, Amy. 8. Styles described his upbringing as a great childhood and recalled always feeling supported by his parents. 5. As a child, he sang covers on a karaoke machine he was given by his grandfather, and the first song he recorded was Elvis Presley's "The Girl of My Best Friend." 9. Styles attended the Holmes Chapel Comprehensive School 10, where he was the lead singer for the band White Eskimo, which won a local Battle of the Bands competition. 10-11. At the age of 16, he took on part-time work at the W. Mandeville Bakery in Holmes Chapel. 11. During his adolescence, he also delivered newspapers and worked at a stable, mucking out horses. 12. Career. See also, List of awards and nominations received by Harry Styles and List of awards and nominations received by One Direction. 2010 to 2015, The X Factor and One Direction. Main article, One Direction. Styles left with One Direction on the X Factor Live Tour in 2011. Following a suggestion from his mother, on April 11, 2010, Styles auditioned as a solo contestant for the 7th series of the British televised singing competition The X Factor, singing a rendition of Train's Hey, Soul Sister. After Simon Cowell suggested that the track was not right for him, he instead sang a rendition of Stevie Wonder's Isn't She Lovely. 5-13. He advanced to boot camp but failed to progress further. 4 others in his age group who were also eliminated were put together to form a boy band in July 2010 to compete in the group's category, mentored by Cowell. 14. The group, consisting of Styles, Niall Horan, Liam Payne, Louis Tomlinson, and Zayn Malik, practiced for 2 weeks. 15-16. Styles suggested the name One Direction to his colleagues, which they agreed to. 17. They began to gain considerable popularity in the UK. 18. And within the first 4 weeks of the live shows, were Cowell's last contestant in the competition. 19. The group eventually reached the final of the X Factor and became the last contestant eliminated on the show. 20. Styles during the Take Me Home tour in 2013. In January 2011, One Direction signed a recording contract with Cowell's label Psycho Records. 21-22. Their UK #1 debut single, What Makes You Beautiful, and their debut studio album, Up All Night, were released later that year. 23-24. The album, which contained 3 songs co-written by Styles, debuted at #1 in the United States. 25-26. Their 4 succeeding studio albums, Take Me Home, 2012, Midnight Memories, 2013, 4, 2014, and Made in the AM, 2015, all debuted at #1 in the UK. 27. Midnight Memories was the world's best-selling album of 2013-28, and its accompanying Where We Are tour was the highest-grossing tour of 2014. 29. After the release of 4, One Direction became the only group in the 58-year history of the Billboard 200 albums chart to have their first 4 albums debut at #1. 30. The album spawned a string of successful singles, including Live While We're Young, Little Things, Best Song Ever, Story of My Life, Drag Me Down, and History. 31. 32-33. Styles also co-wrote the song Just a Little Bit of Your Heart for Ariana Grande's 2014 album My Everything. 34. Not wanting to exhaust the fan base, Upon Styles' suggestion, One Direction went on an indefinite hiatus in 2016, after completing promotional activities related to Made in the AM. 535-36 Since their debut, One Direction have sold 70 million records worldwide, including 7.6 million albums and 26 million singles in the US, becoming one of the best-selling boy bands of all time. 32-37-38 The group amassed numerous accolades, including 7 Brit Awards, 39 7 American Music Awards, 46 Billboard Music Awards, 41 and 4 MTV Video Music Awards. 42 While Styles has been generally positive about his time in One Direction, he has revealed that the hypervisibility he experienced while being in the band was not always easy to deal with. 43 Styles attributed his avoidance of social media to past pressure that he should be constantly accessible online. 43-44 He has spoken about being scared of saying the wrong things in interviews and of fear that not answering questions such as the number of people he slept with would cause journalists to leave the interview annoyed with him. 43 His contracts with One Direction contained cleanliness clauses which stated that the group would be null and void if he did not obey them. 43 He expressed that he burst into tears when he signed a solo contract without these clauses because he felt free. 43. 2016 to 2018, Harry Styles and Dunkirk. As a solo artist, Styles joined Jeffrey Ossoff's Full Stop management and talent agency CAA, signing a recording contract with Columbia Records in the first half of 2016. 45-46 Around this time, he also launched his own record label, Erskine Records. 45 Recording for Styles' debut album occurred throughout 2016 in Los Angeles, London, and Port Antonio, Jamaica, where Styles and his collaborators spent a 2-month writing retreat in the autumn. 5 In March 2017, he announced that his first solo single, Sign of the Times, would be released on April 7. 47 The song peaked at number 1 on the UK singles chart and number 4 on the US Billboard Hot 100. 48-49 A glam rock-influenced soft rock power ballad. 50-51 It drew comparisons to the work of David Bowie. 52 Rolling Stone ranked Sign of the Times as the best song of 2017. 53 Its music video featured Styles flying and walking on water. 54-55 and won the Brit Award for British Video of the Year. 56 In April, Styles was a musical guest on Saturday Night Live in the US and made his debut televised solo performance in the UK on The Graham Norton Show. 57-58 Styles performing in Nashville, Tennessee, in 2018. Styles' debut studio album, Harry Styles, was released in May 2017. 59 Whereupon it debuted at number 1 in several countries, including Australia, the UK, and the US. 60 The record was influenced by 1970s soft rock and was described by Variety as a classic cocktail of psychedelia, Britpop, and balladry. 61-62 It received generally favorable reviews from critics. 63-64 and was included in several publications' lists of the best albums of 2017. 65-66-67 Harry Styles yielded 2 more singles, 2 Ghosts and Kiwi. 68-69 The film Harry Styles, Behind the Album, which documented the writing and recording process for the album, was released in May exclusively on Apple Music. 70 Styles embarked on his first headlining concert tour, Harry Styles, Live on Tour, from September 2017 through to July 2018, performing in North and South Americas, Europe, Asia, and Australia. 71-72 During the tour, Styles debuted 2 unreleased songs, Anna, and Medicine. 73 Styles made his feature film debut in Christopher Nolan's war film Dunkirk, in July 2017, playing a British soldier named Alex in the Dunkirk evacuation during World War II. 74 He appeared alongside an ensemble cast which included Fionn Whitehead, Tom Glencarney, Jack Lowden, Kenneth Branagh, Cillian Murphy, Mark Rylance, and Tom Hardy. 75 Styles won the part over thousands of young men. 76 Nolan later admitted he was unaware of the extent of Styles's fame and that he was cast because he fit the part wonderfully and truly earned a seat at the table. 77-78 The Daily Telegraph film critic Robbie Collin praised Styles for his bright, convicted, and unexpectedly not at all jarring performance. 79 In November 2017, BBC One broadcast Harry Styles at the BBC, a one-hour television special presented by Nick Grimshaw. 80 Later that month, he performed at the Victoria's Secret fashion show held in Shanghai. 81 At the 2017 ARIA Music Awards, Styles received the Best International Artist Award. 82 He guest hosted The Late Late Show with James Corden in December. 83 Together with Jack Antonoff and Ilse Ubayer, Styles co-wrote Alfie's song, Not So Typical Love Song, performed by the band Bleachers, for the soundtrack of the film Love, Simon, 2018. 84 He also served as an executive producer on CBS's sitcom Happy Together, which premiered in October 2018 and was inspired by his time living with television producer Ben Winston and his wife. 85 In 2018, Styles began modeling for the Italian fashion house Gucci, appearing in several campaigns for the brand. 86-87 2019 to 2021, Fine Line. In July 2019, it was reported that Styles was in early talks to play Prince Eric in the live-action Disney film The Little Mermaid, 2023. 88 He ultimately turned the part down for various reasons which included touring and wanting to pursue darker roles. 89 90 91 Lights Up, the lead single from Styles's second album, Fine Line, was released in October 2019, debuting at number 3 in the UK. 92-93 The song featured a soft-touch re-entry into the pop slipstream, according to music writer John Caramanica. 94 Styles served as both host and musical guest on Saturday Night Live in November. 95 The second single preceding Fine Line, Adore You, was released in December, peaking at number 7 in the UK and number 6 in the US. 96 97 98 That month, Styles again guest hosted The Late Late Show with James Corden. 99 Styles performing at United Center in Chicago in 2021. Fine Line was released on December 13th. The album was recorded at the Shangri-La studio in Malibu, California, with the same production team behind Styles's debut album, and features a similar sound to Harry Styles while also incorporating elements of funk and soul. 100-101 It received generally positive reviews from critics. 102 The album peaked at number 2 in the UK 103 and topped the US charts, breaking the record as the biggest sales debut from an English male artist in the US since Nielsen SoundScan began electronically tracking sales data in 1991. 104 Rolling Stone ranked it at number 491 in their 2020 list of the 500 greatest albums of all time. 105 Five other singles, Falling, Watermelon Sugar, Golden, Treat People with Kindness, and the title track, were released from the album. 106 Watermelon Sugar became Styles's fourth UK top 10 single, peaking at number 4 107 as well as his first number 1 single in the US. 108 A tour to support Fine Line, entitled Love on Tour, which was originally set to take place throughout 2020. 109 was postponed until 2021 due to the COVID-19 pandemic. 110 111 At the 2020 Brit Awards, Styles was nominated for British Male Solo Artist and British Album of the Year. 112 In March 2020, he performed an NPR Tiny Desk concert. 113 And in July, he narrated a bedtime story titled Dream With Me for the relaxation app Calm. 114 Styles co-wrote the song Changes for Cam's album The Other Side. 115 Later that year, Styles won the Favorite Pop/Rock Album Award for Fine Line at the 48th American Music Awards 116, the Best International Artist Award at the 34th ARIA Music Awards 117, and the Chart Achievement Award at the 27th Billboard Music Awards 118. He was also named Variety's Hitmaker of the Year 119 at the 63rd Annual Grammy Awards in March 2021. He received 3 nominations for Best Pop Vocal Album, Fine Line, Best Pop Solo Performance, Watermelon Sugar, and Best Music Video, Adore You, winning for Best Pop Solo Performance. 121 Watermelon Sugar also earned Styles his second Brit Award for British Single of the Year during the 2021 ceremony. 122 After previous postponement, Love on Tour kicked off on September 4, 2021 in Las Vegas. 123 At the 2021 Ivor Novello Awards, Adore You won the award for Most Performed Work. 124 Styles made a cameo appearance as Arrow/Star Fox, brother of Thanos, in the mid-credits scene of the Marvel Cinematic Universe superhero film Eternals, released in November 2021. 125 He launched his gender-neutral skin and nail care brand, Pleasing, that month. 126. 2022, present, Harry's House and further acting roles. Styles performing at Wembley Stadium in 2022. In 2022, Styles achieved critical and commercial success with his third album, Harry's House. 127 128 Its lead single, As It Was, debuted atop the UK and US charts, becoming his second solo #1 single in both countries. 129 130 In the US, it became the fourth longest running #1 in history, at 15 weeks. 131 The album similarly debuted atop the UK and US charts. 132 133 During Harry's House's release week, Styles occupied the top spot of the album and singles charts in over 15 countries, with Harry's House and As It Was. 128 With 4 tracks from the album concurrently charting within the US top 10, he became the first British solo artist to achieve this feat. 134 Styles headlined the Coachella Valley Music and Arts Festival in April to a crowd of over 100,000 people. 135 In June 2022, Styles and the single Music for a Sushi Restaurant were featured in an AirPods commercial. 136 The following month, Harry's House was shortlisted for the Mercury Prize. 137 As It Was became the #1 song of 2022 globally, according to Billboard. 138 At the 2022 MTV Video Music Awards, Styles received 3 accolades, including Album of the Year for Harry's House. 139 The album also won Album of the Year and Best Pop Vocal Album at the 65th Grammy Awards 140 and British Album of the Year at the 43rd Brit Awards. 141 At the 50th American Music Awards, Styles won Favorite Male Pop Artist and Favorite Pop Song, As It Was. 142 Rolling Stone ranked Harry's House at number 491 on its 2023 revision of the 500 Greatest Albums of All Time list. 143. Scene from My Policeman, 2022, featuring Styles as Tom Burgess and David Dawson as Patrick Hazelwood. Styles auditioned for the role of Elvis Presley in Baz Luhrmann's musical biopic Elvis, 2022. Luhrmann stated that while Harry is a really talented actor, the real issue with Harry is, he's Harry Styles. He's already an icon. 144. Styles starred alongside Florence Pugh in the 2022 psychological thriller film Don't Worry Darling, directed by Olivia Wilde. 145 Having premiered at the 79th Venice International Film Festival, the film, as well as his performance, received mixed reviews. 146 147 Steph Green from the BBC wrote, Harry Styles doesn't feel up to the material here, with leaden line delivery and a lack of light and shade making his scenes opposite Pugh fall flat. 148. Some critics were more positive. Owen Gleiberman from Variety wrote, with his popping eyes, floppy shock of hair, and saturnine suaveness, he recalls the young Frank Sinatra as an actor. 149. Styles also starred alongside David Dawson and Emma Corrin in the romantic drama film My Policeman, which premiered at the 2022 Toronto International Film Festival. 150. The film's main cast members were awarded the TIFF Tribute Award for performance. 151. Critics were divided on the film and Styles' performance. Robert Daniels of RogerEbert.com wrote, "Here, Styles' inexperience as a leading man in a weepy British queer period piece is glaring." 152. While Karen James from the BBC opined that Styles is far more convincing and has a much fuller, more grounded role in My Policeman compared to his Don't Worry Darling performance. 153. In August and September 2022, as part of his Love on Tour, Styles performed 15 sold-out shows at Madison Square Garden. To mark the achievement, a permanent banner was raised inside the venue. Styles became the third musical artist in history to have a banner raised at Madison Square Garden. 154. 155. In November 2022, Styles collaborated with Alessandro Michele on a Gucci collection titled Gucci Ha Ha Ha. 156. Love on Tour concluded in July 2023 as the then fifth highest grossing tour of all time, earning $617.3 million. 157. Styles provided background vocals on bandmate Mitch Rowland's track Here Comes the Comeback, released in September 2023. 158. In July 2024, Styles joined Stevie Nicks on stage at the British Summertime Festival in London to perform Stop Draggin' My Heart Around and Landslide in tribute of Christine McVie's birthday. 159. Artistry. Musical style and influences. Artists such as David Bowie and Shania Twain have influenced Styles. Music critics have described Styles as having a baritone singing voice. 160. 161. 162. They described his music as pop, pop rock, rock, soft rock, Britpop, new wave, synth pop, and disco, with elements of folk. The musical style on his debut solo album was called a mishmash of Los Angeles-style classic rock and ballads by NME. 164. Invoking an intimately emotional 70s soft rock vibe by Rolling Stone, and synthesizing influences from the last half-century of rock by Time. 170. 171. It was influenced by the artists he grew up listening to, such as Pink Floyd, the Rolling Stones, the Beatles, and Fleetwood Mac, as well as the honest songwriter of Harry Nilsson. 172. 173. Fine Line was seen by NME to have taken this nostalgic sound from his first record and combined it with soaring pop sensibilities. 101. Styles said, "I think with music it's so important to evolve, and that extends to clothes and videos and all that stuff. That's why you look back at David Bowie with Ziggy Stardust or the Beatles and their different eras. That fearlessness is super inspiring." 174. Styles cited Freddie Mercury, Elvis Presley, and Paul McCartney, including his side project Wings, as influences, while mentioning Shania Twain as his main inspiration both musically and in fashion. 175. 176. 177. While making Fine Line, Styles said he kept watching a vintage pep talk by Bowie that inspired him to push his art further. 178. When curating an all-time top 10 tracks mixtape for Another Man, Styles included tracks by Crosby, Stills and Nash, Ray Charles, Blaze Foley, Patsy Cline, and Travis. 179. Upon listening to Pink Floyd's 1973 album The Dark Side of the Moon as a child, he said he couldn't really get it, but I just remember being like, this is really fucking cool. 5. The first song Styles learned the words to was Dreams, 1977, by Fleetwood Mac, although as a child he believed the song was about the weather. 180. 181. Styles was also inspired by George Michael, sampling Faith, 1987, on his unreleased track Anna, and also has lyrics from Careless Whisper, 1984, tattooed on his ankles. 182-183 Joni Mitchell's album Blue, 1971, inspired Styles to contact the album's dulcimer instrumentalist, with whom he worked on Fine Line. He also chose to record Fine Line in Henson Recording Studios after being inspired by Carole King's album Tapestry, 1971, which was recorded there. 176 During the COVID-19 lockdown, Styles highlighted Mac Miller's 2020 single Blue World as his personal quarantine track of choice. 184 He also compiled a playlist for Apple Music during lockdown, inclusive of artists such as Otis Redding, Sam Cooke, Bill Withers, Billie Holiday, Bread, and Labi Siffre. 185 While writing Harry's House in Tokyo, Styles was inspired by Hiromi Hosono's 1973 debut album Hosono House and paid homage to its title. 186 Joni Mitchell, whose 1975 album The Hissing of Summer Lawns featured the track Harry's House, tweeted that she loved the title. 187. Gary Rafferty's 1978 single Right Down the Line was a specific reference point during the creation of Harry's House. 188. Styles also cited fine art as an inspiration. He has an extensive private art collection, owning original works from artists such as Jean-Michel Basquiat, Damien Hirst, Polly Morgan, Unizer, Ben Turnbull, Jessica Zoeb, and Hayden Case. He was also inspired by English painter David Hockney. 194 In 2023, Hockney painted a portrait of Styles included in the David Hockney Drawing from Life exhibition at the National Portrait Gallery in London. Styles called the experience a complete privilege and that Hockney has been reinventing the way we look at the world for decades. 195. Styles also said that Alain de Botton's 2016 novel The Course of Love made him appreciate the work required in cultivating and sustaining a romantic bond. 196. Stage performances. As a solo artist, Styles has chosen to tour as a rock artist with a backing band. 197 He plays acoustic guitar in addition to providing vocals. 198 Lead guitarist Mitch Rowland and drummer and vocalist Sarah Jones have toured with Styles both during Harry Styles, Live on Tour and Love on Tour. 199 other members of his band have included the bassist/vocalist Ellen Sandberg, pianist Naji Adalai, percussionist and musical director Polly Lovejoy, multi-instrumentalist/vocalist New Yorko, bassist Adam Prendergast, pianist Yafra, keyboardist/vocalist Claire Uchima, and guitarist/keyboardist/vocalist Charlotte Clark. 200 Jade Yamazaki Stewart from the Seattle Times said of the band, Love on Tour felt more like a 1970s rock festival than a 21st century arena show from an international pop star. 201. Styles has been seen by critics to be an unusually energetic performer since at least 2015. 202 In a 2015 Rolling Stone review of One Direction's concert at MetLife Stadium, Rob Sheffield said, "It's like watching the footage of Secretariat running the Belmont Stakes in 1973. He's 31 lengths ahead of the other horses, but he speeds up madly for the final stretch because he's so in love with being fast." 202. Styles does not party or ingest substances after his shows because he tries to approach performing like an athlete in order to give fans the best show possible. 203 Craig McLean described his onstage physicality for The Face in 2022 as stomping, head-banging exuberance that is impossible to resist. 204. His stage presence has been likened to that of Freddie Mercury and Mick Jagger. 204 205 While his charisma and playfulness have prompted comparisons to Rod Stewart. 206. Cultural status. Main article, Cultural impact of Harry Styles. Styles on Love on Tour in 2022. Styles has been referred to as a pop icon 207, 208, 209, a fashion icon 210, 211, 212, and a global icon 213, 214, 215. He is considered to be among the most successful solo artists to have emerged from a band. 216, 217. Ben Beaumont Thomas of The Guardian wrote that he is a star who has negotiated one of the most difficult transitions in music, from boy band to solo artist, with more panache than even successful forebears such as Justin Timberlake and Robbie Williams. 218. In 2023, it was announced that Texas State University would be offering a course on Styles called Harry Styles and the Cult of Celebrity, Identity, the Internet, and European Pop Culture, analyzing the relations of Styles's career with questions of gender and sexuality, race, class, nation, and globalism, media, fashion, fan culture, internet culture and consumerism. 219, 220. In 2022, As It Was the most streamed song of the year globally on Spotify and Deezer, the second most streamed song globally on Apple Music, and the most streamed song in the UK overall. 221. Forbes noted that with Harry's House, Styles racked up a first-week vinyl sales count larger than anything any musician has managed before. 222. Styles was the second most searched musician on Google in 2022, after Taylor Swift. 223. Rolling Stone UK named Styles the new king of pop in 2022, following his groundbreaking year. 224. 209. Styles's fan base is known as Harry's. 225. Styles has inspired his fans to dress up for his concerts, leading fashionista to call the shows his fans Met Gala. Outfits often include sequins, pink cowboy hats, and feather boas. 226. 227. Styles's fans have been featured in Vogue 228, The New York Times 229, and The New Yorker. 230. Due to his popularity, the singer has often fallen a victim of bottling. 231. Frequently hitting him in the groin. 232. 233. 234. 235. Since One Direction's early years, a group of shipping conspiracy theorist fans, often called Larrys, has been dedicated to proving that Styles and Louis Tomlinson, name blended as Larry Stylinson, are secretly a couple that has been closeted by a homophobic music industry. 236. 237. 238. In 2016, Vox's I Romano deemed the group one of the largest elements of the One Direction fandom, which itself is one of the largest fandoms on the internet. 236. Academics Claire Southerton and Hannah McCann connected them to phenomena like queer reading and slash fiction. 237. 239. The theory, mainly proliferated on social media, has led to online bullying and harassment of Styles's and Tomlinson's friends, family, and girlfriends. 240. 236. Legacy. Many musicians have expressed getting inspiration from Styles and their desire to work with him. Artists such as SZA 241, Miley Cyrus 242, Elton John 243, Shania Twain 244, Olivia Rodrigo 245, Chris Stapleton 246, Mark Ronson 247, Halsey 248, Lorde 249, Matty Healy 250, John Legend 251, and Troye Sivan have all voiced their wishes to collaborate with Styles. 252. However, when asked about collaborating with other artists, Styles joked that he is an antisocial musician. 253. Singer-songwriter Stevie Nicks likened his album Fine Line to Fleetwood Mac's album Rumors, 1977, and commented that she was inspired by him to write new music and poetry. 254. Novels inspired by Styles include the After series 255, Grace and the Fever 256, and The Idea of You. 257 The after novels were turned into a film series. 258 Anne Hathaway starred in the romantic comedy film The Idea of You, 2024, an adaptation of the novel. 259 Children's books include Harry Styles, A Little Golden Book biography. 260 And have you heard of Harry Styles? 261. In June 2024, Styles' childhood village Holmes Chapel launched a 2.5 to 3 hour guided walking tour around the area. 262 The tour follows the bakery where Styles used to work, the Tremlow Viaduct featured in the One Direction documentary, One Direction, This Is Us, 2013, where Styles signs his name, and other attractions. 263 The Holmes Chapel partnership were forced to hire tour guides to cope with demand after 5,000 fans visited the village in 2023. 264 There were over 150 applications for the role of a tour guide. 263 Madame Tussauds Wax Museum has displayed a Styles wax figure since his time in One Direction, and as of 2023, Tussauds museums in several countries had a figure of him. 265 266. Fashion. Further information, blue Gucci dress of Harry Styles. Styles wore skinny jeans, sheer blouses, floral prints, flamboyant suits, and ankle boots while in One Direction. 267 268 Nicole Saunders of Billboard noted that his fashion had blossomed from a teen wearing purple Jack Wills hoodies to a carefully executed blend of 70s rock with a glamorous magpie feel over the course of the group's 5-year stint. 269 Regarding Styles' time in One Direction, AllMusic writer Tim Sendra opined that his charming persona and elastic vocals had him positioned as the Timberlake of the group. 270. Entertainment Weekly's Leah Greenblatt described him as a dimpled, rakish prankster happy to wear the mantle of class clown. 271. During the band's 2014-4 era, Styles began collaborating with stylist Harry Lambert. 272 In 2016, he was featured in Another Man magazine. 273 After which N.T. Donahue of The Guardian labeled him an art-throb who offers something other than token shirtlessness and telegraphs an allegiance to the niche worlds of art and fashion rather than aiming for mainstream notoriety. 274. Billboard's Chris Pine opined that Styles' vibe has always screamed rock star. 275. As a solo artist, Styles has opted for candy floss custom pink suits, sequined tops, printed satin flares and a Gucci-heavy aesthetic. 267 Vanity Fair's Erica Harwood stated that Styles went from boy bander to luxury suit connoisseur in describing his change in style. 276 His style was noted as flamboyant, fashion-forward, and fun. 277. Citing his use of the color pink, Styles quoted English musician and The Clash's bassist Paul Simon in a Rolling Stone interview, "Pink is the only true rock and roll color." 5. And Powers of NPR wrote that his fashion recalls the Spice Girls' theatrical parade through pop's sartorial heritage and that he comforts with fashion's way of telling stories through artful accessories. 166. Blue Gucci dress worn by Styles on the cover of Vogue on display at the V&A Museum. Styles began wearing sweater vests, baggy high-waisted pants and pearl necklaces in 2019. 278 Which prompted Jacob Gallagher of the Wall Street Journal to call him the popularizer of the manly pearl necklace. 279. Tom Lamont of The Guardian noted that some of Styles' fashion choices have contributed to an important political discussion about gendered fashion. 280. In 2020, Styles became the first man to appear solo on the cover of Vogue, for its December issue. 281 Right-wing commentators criticized him for wearing a blue Gucci dress on the cover. 282 283 Candace Owens demanded that society must bring back manly men. 284 And Ben Shapiro of the Daily Wire called the cover a referendum on masculinity for men to don fluffy dresses. 285. Styles responded to the criticism by saying, "To not wear something because it's female's clothing, you shut out a whole world of great clothes, and what's exciting about right now is you can wear what you like as lines are becoming more and more blurred." 286. The decision to wear a dress, combined with his refusal to label his sexuality, have opened him up to accusations of queerbaiting. 287. In 2022, the Gucci dress he wore on the cover of the magazine was incorporated into a V&A museum exhibit called Fashioning Masculinities, The Art of Menswear. 288. Several of Styles' other outfits have been displayed in museums, including a blue velvet suit in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, linen trousers at the Design Museum, and a leather suit in the Grammy Museum at LA. Live. 289. 290. 291. In 2022, Styles designed a Gucci joint capsule collection with Alessandro Michele entitled Ha Ha Ha. 292. Unveiled at Milan Fashion Week, the collection included tailored wool and velvet suits, tweed trench coats, tartan kilts, bowling shirts, and printed pajamas. 293. J.W. Anderson cardigan worn by Styles on display at the V&A Museum. Styles frequently spotlights the work of small designers. 43. 294. 295. 194. 296. 297. He has been credited with increasing sales and attention for smaller brands such as Bode, Iliu, Egon Lab, SS. Daily, Daniel W. Fletcher, Marco Ribeiro, and Arturo Obidro. 194. 298. 299. 300. 297. 301. During lockdown, a J.W. Anderson cardigan that Styles wore in a 2020 rehearsal for Today went viral on TikTok as Anderson provided the pattern for free online. 302. The V&A Museum acquired the cardigan for its permanent collection in November 2020, calling the viral craze a cultural phenomenon that speaks to the power of creativity and social media in bringing people together in times of extreme adversity. 302. Having won the British Style Award at the 2013 Fashion Awards, 303. Styles placed fourth on British GQ's 2018 list of 50 best dressed men, in which fashion designer Michael Kors deemed him the modern embodiment of British rocker style, edgy, flamboyant, and worn with unapologetic swagger. 304. In 2020, he was voted GQ's most stylish man of the year. 305. Styles was also ranked first and fifth on British Vogue's The 50 Fittest Boys list in 2016 and 2017, respectively 306, 307, and was voted the sexiest male in pop for 3 consecutive years between 2016 and 2018 in a poll by British radio network Capital. 308, 309, 310. In 2020, he was named the most influential man in fashion. 311. GQ named Styles the best dressed musician in the world. 312. Styles was inducted as part of the Business of Fashion's class of 2022, a definitive index of people shaping the global fashion industry. 313. Styles has been credited for multiple trends and different waves of items' popularity within fashion. He has been attributed to the popularization of items such as pearl necklaces, Hawaiian shirts, crochet garments, Chelsea boots, feather boas, and wide-leg trousers. 314, 315, 316, 317, 318. In 2023, Styles was credited alongside Beyoncé and Taylor Swift for the rise in elaborate concert dressing, emulating fan culture of the 60s. 319. After Styles wore Adidas Gazelles as part of every concert outfit on Love on Tour, Adidas officially renamed the shoes on their web store to Satellite Stompers in honor of Styles reviving the shoe and his fans' nickname. 320. In 2024, Styles invested in a minority stake in emerging British fashion label SS. Daily. 321. Personal life. Styles splits his time between 2 homes in North London, having previously lived above the Sunset Strip in Los Angeles. 322 He sold his Los Angeles residence, having become disillusioned with the city. 286 He lived in the attic of producer Ben Winston's home in Hampstead Heath, London, for 20 months at the beginning of his career while he looked for his own house. 5. Styles believes in karma and considers himself to be more spiritual than religious, stating that it is naive to say nothing exists and there's nothing above us or more powerful than us. 323. In a 2020 interview with Vogue, Styles shared that he practices Pilates and meditates daily. 324 He also attends therapy regularly. 43 He told Vogue in the same interview that he follows a pescatarian diet. 324 In 2022, when fans started throwing chicken nuggets on stage during a concert and chanted that he should eat one, he told them, "I don't eat chicken, sorry. I don't eat meat," earning him PETA's 2022 Best Viral Moment for Animals Award. 325 Styles confirmed in 2017 that he has polythelia, a condition where a person has more than 2 nipples. 326. In May 2019, Styles was named second on the Sunday Times Rich list of musicians in the UK under 30, with an estimated net worth of £58 million, having previously featured third on the previous year's list with an estimated net worth of £50 million. 327 328 He maintained his second place position on the list in 2020 and 2021, with estimated net worths of £63 million and £75 million, respectively. 329 330 He topped the list in 2022, becoming the richest musician under 30 in the UK, with his net worth being estimated at £100 million. 331 In 2023, Styles was estimated to be worth £150 million, placed this year jointly at 13th position in a new list headed 35 Richest People Under 35 in the UK. 332. The Times estimated Styles' wealth to be £175 million in 2024, placing 17th on the 40 Under 40 list and the second richest young musician in the UK after Ed Sheeran. 333. Styles is a runner who in 2025 completed 2 of the 6 world marathon majors, Tokyo 334 and Berlin, the latter in a personal best time of 2 hours 59 minutes and 13 seconds under the pseudonym Stead Sarandos. 335. Styles heavily tattooed at Wembley Stadium in 2023. Tattoos. Styles is heavily tattooed, having got his first one at 18 years old, the most prominent of which is a large butterfly on his sternum. 336 Styles' primary tattoo artist Liam Sparks stated the butterfly on his torso is based on an old French prison tattoo inspired by the film Papillon, 1973. 337. He got tattooed on television as a dare on The Late Late Show with James Corden in December 2015. 338 His tattoos include the Green Bay Packers logo, Swallows, New York, LA, LDN, a padlock tattooed on him by Ed Sheeran, Never Gonna Dance Again, lyrics from the song Careless Whisper by George Michael, Brazil, a naked mermaid, the cover art of the album The Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd, his parents' birth years and various tattoos related to family members, and a tiny cross. 339 Styles has 17 black below his left clavicle after losing money gambling in Australia on 17 black and shares matching work of the children's character Pink with Ed Sheeran. 337 He also shares a matching half a heart tattoo with Nathan Followill of Kings of Leon. 340 Styles has 2 Hebrew tattoos, one on his shoulder with his sister Gemma's name and another that translates to Can I Stay, influenced by his interest in Jewish culture and Hebrew. 341 342. Relationships. From November 2011 to January 2012, 17-year-old Styles dated television presenter Caroline Flack. Their relationship stirred controversy, as she was 14 years older than Styles and accused of pedophilia. 343 He briefly dated American singer-songwriter Taylor Swift later in 2012. 344 Leading to fan and media speculation about them writing songs about each other after their breakup. 345 From 2013 to 2016, Styles dated model Kendall Jenner and later cited her as one of the muses of his debut album. 346 From 2017 to 2018, Styles was in a relationship with French-American model Camille Rowe, who inspired Fine Line. 347 178 From January 2021 to November 2022, Styles was in a relationship with actress and director Olivia Wilde, whom he met on the set of Don't Worry Darling. 348 Rolling Stone said in 2022, if Styles is already held up to a high standard, his potential partners are held to an unreachable one for some of his fans. 209 From June 2023 to May 2024, Styles dated Canadian actress Taylor Russell. 349 Sexuality. Styles has been repeatedly asked about his sexual orientation in interviews since he was 19 years old. 43 280 350 351 352 When asked in a 2013 interview with British GQ whether he was bisexual, he replied, "Bisexual? Me? I don't think so. I'm pretty sure I'm not." 350 In 2017, when asked if he labeled his sexuality, he said, "No, I've never felt the need to really. I don't feel like it's something I've ever felt like I have to explain about myself." 351 When The Guardian in 2019 questioned the authenticity of his flamboyant dressing style and his perceived sexual ambiguity, he stated, "Am I sprinkling in nuggets of sexual ambiguity to try and be more interesting? No. In terms of how I wanna dress, and what the album sleeve's gonna be, I tend to make decisions in terms of collaborators I want to work with. I want things to look a certain way. Not because it makes me look gay, or it makes me look straight, or it makes me look bisexual, but because I think it looks cool. And more than that, I don't know, I just think sexuality's something that's fun. Honestly. I can't say I've given it any more thought than that." 280 In a 2022 interview with Better Homes and Gardens, Styles stated that the expectation that he should publicly label his sexual orientation is outdated. He said, "I've been really open with it with my friends, but that's my personal experience, it's mine, and the whole point of where we should be heading, which is toward accepting everybody and being more open, is that it doesn't matter, and it's about not having to label everything." 43 Philanthropy and advocacy. Styles waving a Progress Pride flag in Little Rock, Arkansas, in November 2021. In 2013, Styles and Liam Payne became ambassadors for the cancer charity Trek Stock, raising over $800,000 through the online fundraising platform Prizeo. 353 354 When the Westboro Baptist Church picketed a One Direction concert in 2013. 355 Styles spoke up on Twitter, responding that he believes in equal rights for everyone. 355 In 2014, Styles joined LGBT rights charity Stonewall's #FirstSnog campaign in celebration of their 25th anniversary. 356 And showed support for Michael Sam, the first openly gay player drafted by an NFL team, by wearing his jersey on stage during One Direction's concert in St. Louis. 357 Styles regularly waves pride flags thrown on stage by fans at concerts. 358 359 360 And assists fans with coming out publicly during sections of the show where he engages in banter with the audience. 361 362 363 364 LGBT fans have referred to Styles' concerts as a safe space. 365 He received a Gay Times honor for LGBTQ advocate in 2018 366 and has been nominated 3 times at the British LGBT Awards. 367 The Los Angeles Times called Styles a champion of the LGBT community and that Styles' ability to exist comfortably, and extremely publicly, in a fluid space along the gender spectrum is particularly resonant with young gender non-conforming fans. 368. In 2014, Styles endorsed Emma Watson's He-for-She gender equality campaign. 369 In 2015, he sponsored water wells in India via Drop4Drop in support of LifeWater's World Water Day campaign. 370 The following year, he donated his hair to the UK charity Little Princess Trust, which supplies and funds wigs made of real hair to children who have hair loss as a result of illnesses. 371 In May 2017, to celebrate the release of his debut album, he played intimate shows at the Garage in London and at the Troubadour in Los Angeles, with all proceeds benefiting charities. 372 That October, he performed at CBS Radio's We Can Survive concert at the Hollywood Bowl for breast cancer awareness. 373 Styles' first tour raised $1.2 million in charity donations from ticket sales, Live Nation's contributions, and Gelson's Pride campaign towards 62 charities around the world, while his second tour raised more than $6.5 million for its charity partners Physicians for Reproductive Health, Black Voters Matter and Choose Love, as well as local efforts including aid for food insecure families in need during the holidays. Both tours also promoted water conservation via recycling and reducing plastic water bottle usage. 374 375 376 Styles also made an additional $100,000 joint donation with the United Center in Chicago to the creation of the Arts and Creative Entrepreneurship Incubator at the former St. Lawrence Elementary School as a celebration of his 6-night concert residency in Chicago. 377. In 2018, his online store sold t-shirts with the slogan "Treat People with Kindness" in a rainbow print for Pride Month, with profits benefiting Gelson. 378 That year, Styles also tweeted in support of the March for Our Lives petition 379 and added Black Lives Matter and End Gun Violence stickers to his guitar. 380 Styles identifies as a feminist. 178 In December 2019, in response to an interview question about not using his influence more often to support specific causes, Styles stated, "Because of dilution. Because I'd prefer, when I say something, for people to think I mean it. To be honest, I'm still searching for that one thing, you know. Something I can really stand up for, and get behind, and be like, this is my life fight. There's a power to doing the one thing. You want your whole weight behind it?" 280. On the impact of events such as Brexit, the Black Lives Matter movement and Donald Trump's presidency on his song "Sign of the Times," he said that "We're in a difficult time, and I think we've been in many difficult times before. But we happen to be in a time where things happening around the world are absolutely impossible to ignore. I think it would have been strange to not acknowledge what was going on at all." 172. Styles leans to the political left, and he visited the House of Lords in 2016 to attend a debate on Brexit following an invitation by Labour peer Lord Winston. 381 382 Regarding Brexit, he stated that anything that brings people together is better than things that pull people apart, and stated that it symbolizes the opposite of the world he would like to be in. 383. In light of the murder of George Floyd in May 2020, Styles showed support for Black Lives Matter, urging fans to share and donate in support, and pledged to donate to a bail fund for arrested Black Lives Matter activists. 384 385 He attended a Los Angeles Black Lives Matter protest the following month. 386 Despite being a British citizen, Styles endorsed Joe Biden in the 2020 United States presidential election. 387 Styles also endorsed Texas gubernatorial race candidate Beto O'Rourke by inviting him to his shows in Austin, Texas. 388. Styles is also an advocate for abortion rights. Speaking to Howard Stern, Styles said the then potential overturning of Roe v. Wade was scary and going backwards, and that there should be backlash and uproar for these things. 389. When the ruling was overturned in June 2022, Styles tweeted, "I'm absolutely devastated for the people of America today. We're all in this together, and the fight is just beginning. A truly dark day for America." 390. Styles referenced the ruling at his concert in Austin, Texas, telling the crowd that no one can tell you what to do with your own body, it's yours. 391. On June 2, 2022, Styles announced he was donating his appearance fee from Apple's AirPods spatial audio campaign to the International Rescue Committee, a global humanitarian aid organization that is responding to the more than 6 million refugees being forced to flee Ukraine. 392. Continuing the partnership, Styles also invited 3 Ukrainian refugees supported by the International Rescue Committee, IRC, to Love on Tour at his show at Warsaw's PGE Narodowy Stadium in July 2023. 393. Styles also donated the fee for the use of his song Treat People with Kindness featured in Marks & Spencer's 2022 Christmas advert to Centrepoint, a charity helping homeless young adults in the UK. 394. In 2022 and 2023, following the mass shooting at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas, Styles partnered with the nonprofit organization Everytown for gun safety for 44 shows across 5 cities in North America as part of his Love on Tour. 395. Styles and Live Nation donated $1 million to the Everytown Support Fund, the education, research, and litigation arm of Everytown. Throughout the partnership, Volunteers with Students Demand Action, one of Everytown's grassroots networks, tabled at shows to spread awareness about the gun safety movement and encourage fans to join efforts to end gun violence in America. 396. The partnership won a Polestar Award for Brand Partnership/Live Campaign of the Year in 2023. 397. Styles is a patron of the MusiCares nonprofit organization, and joined Fleetwood Mac for a performance of The Chain when the band were honored with the MusiCares Person of the Year award in 2018. 398. Styles donates items to the organization's annual charity relief auction, including multiple autographed Gibson and Gritsk electric guitars, and signed versions of his albums. 399. 400. During the COVID-19 lockdowns, Styles released t-shirts with the slogan "Stay Home, Stay Safe, Protect Each Other" on the front, and this t-shirt fights COVID-19. Treat People with Kindness on the back, with 100% of the profits going towards the COVID-19 Solidarity Response Fund by the World Health Organization. 401. Styles also paid his core tour crew's salaries for the duration of the postponed dates until the end of 2020. 402. Treat People with Kindness. Treat People with Kindness, abbreviated to TPWK, is a slogan used by Styles to promote his message of love, acceptance, and kindness to others. 403. Styles began using the slogan during his debut concert tour in 2017 on a badge on his guitar and tour merchandise, including Pride t-shirts sold to raise funds for Gilson. 404. 405. In a December 2019 interview, he stated, "It was a pin I had on my guitar strap and we made t-shirts for it. Then I saw a lot of t-shirts around. I'd be driving or something and see someone in one and I started feeling like, oh, this is a bit of a thing." The initiative gave Styles the idea to write the fine line song Treat People with Kindness, which was titled after the slogan. 406. The track was later released as a single with a subsequent music video featuring writer and actress Phoebe Waller-Bridge in January 2021. 407. In October 2019, teaser posters including the phrase "Do you know who you are?" and the acronym TPWK were spotted in London, Tokyo, Los Angeles, New York, and Australia, fans were able to connect the posters to Styles and his new album release because of the Treat People with Kindness reference. 408, 409, 410 To mark World Mental Health Day in 2019, Styles launched a website bot called Do You Know Who You Are? That gives users positive randomized messages such as bright, determined, loving, and wonderful, and ending with TPWK. Love, age. Don't Worry Darling is a 2022 American psychological thriller film directed by Olivia Wilde from a screenplay by Katie Silberman, based on a spec script by brothers Carey Van Dyke and Shane Van Dyke. Starring Florence Pugh, Harry Styles, Olivia Wilde, Gemma Chan, KiKi Layne, Nick Kroll, and Chris Pine, it follows a housewife in an idyllic company town who begins to suspect a sinister secret being kept from its residents by the man who runs it. Following the critical success of Wilde's feature directorial debut Booksmart, 2019, a multi-studio bidding war took place for her second film, with New Line Cinema eventually winning. Pugh joined the cast in April 2020, with Styles added that September, replacing Shia LaBeouf after production had already begun. Filming took place in Los Angeles from October 2020 to February 2021. The film was the subject of media attention and controversy, including conflicting reports regarding the circumstances of LaBeouf's departure and alleged conflicts between Wilde and Pugh. Don't Worry Darling premiered at the 79th Venice International Film Festival on September 5, 2022, and was theatrically released in the United States on September 23 by Warner Bros. Pictures. It received mixed reviews from critics and grossed $87.6 million. Plot. Alice and Jack Chambers live in Victory, California, an idyllic 1950s desert company town. Every day, the men leave for work at Victory headquarters in the surrounding desert, while their wives enjoy luxuries and leisure while the men are gone. Alice spends her days with other wives, including her best friend Bunny. Fellow resident Margaret has become estranged from the community. An unauthorized desert visit resulted in her son's apparent death, which caused her mental breakdown. Margaret insists Victory took him as punishment for breaking the rules. Victory's founder Frank hosts a party, where Alice sees Margaret's husband attempt to medicate her after an outburst. Alice and Jack then have sex in Frank's bedroom, as Frank secretly watches. From the trolley, Alice sees a plane crash in the desert, so she rushes to help. Stumbling onto headquarters, she touches one of its mirror-like windows, experiencing surreal hallucinations about another life, waking up at home that night. Alice continues to have increasingly strange experiences, and then receives a phone call from Margaret, who claims to have seen the same things. Soon after, she sees Margaret slit her own throat and fall from her roof. Men in red jumpsuits drag her away, preventing her from reaching Margaret's body. Jack dismisses Alice's claims, insisting Margaret is simply recovering from a household accident. When Alice asks him what is really happening at the Victory Project, he becomes angry and refuses to answer. The town physician, Dr. Collins, prescribes Alice medication, which she and Jack decline. She steals Margaret's medical file from his briefcase and finds it heavily redacted. Becoming increasingly paranoid during a company celebration promoting Jack, Alice breaks down in the bathroom. Confronted by Bunny, she attempts to explain her suspicions. Bunny reacts angrily when Alice tells her she went to headquarters, accusing her of jeopardizing their livelihood in Victory like Margaret. Alice and Jack invite neighbors to dinner, including Frank and his wife Shelley. Frank privately confirms her suspicions and dares her to challenge him. So, Alice attempts to expose him, but he makes her appear delusional to everyone, causing Jack grief. Afterwards, Alice tries to tell Jack what Frank said, but he rebukes her. Desperate, she begs him to leave Victory with her. He feigns agreement, then lets Frank's men take her away. Dr. Collins gives Alice electroshock therapy, during which she sees herself in the 21st century, as surgical resident Alice Warren and living with the unemployed Jack. After treatment, Alice resumes her life in Victory, but eventually deduces the visions are actually memories. Confronted by Alice, Jack confesses the truth. Victory is a simulated world created by Frank, where he and the other men lead their version of perfect lives. The women they have in the simulation are unaware that everything in Victory, including their children, is artificial. When the men leave for work each day, they actually log out of the simulation for real jobs to pay for their wives to stay there. Jack argues that Alice was miserable in the real world, while here they can finally be happy. However, Alice is livid that she is there. Jack begs Alice to stay, forcefully grabbing her, prompting her to smash a whiskey glass over his head, killing him in both the simulation and reality. Frank immediately hears of Jack's death. Bunny finds Alice and admits she has always known about the simulation, but chose to stay to be with her children, who died in real life. She warns Alice she will be killed if she does not get to headquarters, the simulation's exit portal. Alice silently confronts the neighborhood, and as small explosions begin, the husbands panic. Fleeing by car, Alice is chased by Dr. Collins and Frank's men. She maneuvers them into fatally crashing into each other. Meanwhile, Shelley fatally stabs Frank to take control of Victory. Arriving at headquarters, Alice has a final vision of Jack, then puts her hands on headquarters before Frank's men can reach her. Various romantic scenes mixed with memories and visions of herself in the real world flash, then the screen cuts to black as Alice gasps for air. Cast: Florence Pugh as Alice Warren Chambers, Harry Styles as Jack Chambers, Alice's husband, Olivia Wilde as Bunny, Alice's neighbor and best friend, Gemma Chan as Shelley, KiKi Layne as Margaret, Sydney Chandler as Violet, Nick Kroll as Dean, Chris Pine as Frank, Kate Berlant as Peg, Timothy Simons as Dr. Collins, Douglas Smith as Bill, Ariel Stahel as Ted, Dita Von Teese as herself. Production, Development and Writing: Olivia Wilde, left, the film's director and co-producer, who also plays Bunny, and Katie Silberman, the film's screenwriter. The film was announced in August 2019, after a bidding war among 18 studios to acquire the next Olivia Wilde-directed project. New Line Cinema won the auction. 4-5 The original spec script was written by brothers Carey and Shane Van Dyke. The screenplay appeared on the 2019 Blacklist. 6-5 Katie Silberman was brought on to do a rewrite, which became the film's screenplay. 5-7-8 According to Wilde, Frank is inspired by psychologist and author Jordan Peterson, whom she called a pseudo-intellectual hero to the incel community. 9-10-11 Peterson rejected the characterization 12-13 but expressed interest and said that perhaps he would watch the film. 14. Variety initially put the budget at about $20 million.